Hi, this is Lori, and my agency presentation is on the Illinois Tollway. The reason that I selected the Illinois Tollway is because that is where I serve as a hearing officer. A hearing officer is the judicial part of an administrative agency. My role as a hearing officer is to preside over cases at the tollway when they have issued notice to registered owners of vehicles accusing them of creating violations on the tollway. My job is to listen and review the evidence that has been presented by the tollway, or I should say toll authority, as well as any evidence presented by the litigant and litigant's attorney, and then determine whether or not the accusations or allegations are true, or whether or not the respondent is liable. So my role is to make judicial determinations or administrative determinations if I find that someone is liable that is as impactful as a court order, and that person has to pay those fines and the tolls within 14 days, and failure to do so results in some additional fines. So that's just a little overview of what I do for the Illinois Tollway. I don't work for the tollway. I am an independent contractor that offers services that is paid for by the state of Illinois. To determine the purposes of the Illinois Tollway. Certainly I could tell you that based on what my experience is with the tollway. But another way to do this would to look at how do we navigate the tollway. So at the top of the menu, there's an About, Doing Business, Media Center, Outreach, Projects, Tolling Information, Travel Information, Careers, and so forth. If you click on the link for About, which will be very similar for many websites, you or the user gets an About the Tollway. And what I learned here when trying to determine the purpose or role of the tollway is that the Illinois Tollway is dedicated to providing and promoting a safe and efficient system of highways while ensuring the highest possible level of service to their customers, whether it's I-PASS, the Move Illinois program, open road tolling, or keeping drivers safe with our help trucks. We are committed to delivering great benefits and services to customers. So this begins to provide a purpose, or I should say it's identified here as an overview of the tollway. And then I can continue to read about the services that have been provided. So one of the things I learned by navigating the tollway is that I find out information at the About page as an overview of what the tollway, or I should say the purpose of the tollway. Part of my assignment is that I have to identify the history and the enabling statute or authoritative source for the tollway. And so to do that, particularly for an enabling statute, I'm going to go to Regulations, Rules, and Policies, because that's where the rules, regulations, or the law part of an administrative agency is located. Certainly, toward the end of our semester, you're going to do some research in the Illinois Register and the Federal Code of Regulations, which is a collective body of all the rules and regulations for administrative agencies. However, at each administrative agency's website, the user can find the rules and regulations relevant to that particular administrative agency. So if I click on the regulations here, I get a another overview. The Illinois Tollway is required to comply with internal regulations and directives as well as state and federal government policies. And then I learned that an act which would be a legislative statute, I should say act of a legislative body. The Illinois Tollway Act is the state law that established the Illinois Toll Highway Authority and granted the agency authority to provide for the construction, operation, regulation, and maintenance of the system. This would be the enabling statute identified as the Illinois Tollway Act, and I'm going to right-click my mouse to open up the law in a separate window. This would be the enabling statute. This is the law from the state of Illinois that enabled or created the power for the Illinois Toll Authority to exist. And if we were to read through this first section 1, it says it is hereby declared as a matter of legislative determination that in order to promote the public welfare and to facilitate vehicular traffic by providing convenient, safe, modern, and so forth. We could best summarize that, but just looking at the statute identifies the purpose of and the power that is given to the tollway. So that's what an enabling statute does. It identifies why that administrative agency is created, and it then identifies the power that the administrative agency is empowered, I should say, is capable of carrying out. And so the rest of this act does identify the purpose and spirit of what the administration can do. It is the enabling statute that very often is challenged in determining whether or not an administrative agency has exceeded or abused its power. Any administrative agency has to have been created by the legislative branch or an executive branch. It has to come from one of the branches of government. Otherwise, we don't have an administrative agency. It would not have any actual power. So having said that, that is where the challenges of the power of an administrative agency arises, and whatever they do must be consistent with the enabling statute that empowered them. And throughout the semester, you're going to learn more about the powers of an administrative agency. But it is here that I now, for my assignment, have identified the enabling statute. I don't find this website, for maybe because I'm in Chrome, some of this website is not easily viewable in my window. Now, what I also need to identify for my assignment is 2 regulations that the agency enforces, and I need to discuss how to complete a FOIA request. So I can click on here. I mean, this is where I am, regulations, rules, and policy. And to my right has administrative rules. And in the administrative rules, we find that, or I should say, we learn that it is Title 92, Transportation, Chapter 4, Illinois State Toll Highway Authority, State Toll Highway Rules. And if I click on the actual rules, I get a listing of all the rules that have been enacted by the toll authority itself. So for example, if I were to scroll down for some that I use as part of the hearing, Section 2520.750 identifies penalties for toll violations, the administrative adjudication system. And so the penalties that people have to pay for fines are established here under these penalties. It identifies that, and this actually is also established in the statute, that there is a $10 fine for the toll on the Elgin O'Hare tollway, a missed toll violation, and $20 fine for all the other tollway violations. So this is where those fines are established. And sometimes when litigants tell me they want the fines waived, I then explain to them the statute and the rule that establishes the fine. And neither the statute nor the rule provides me any authority to waive or otherwise adjust the fine. If someone is liable, the fine is what it is. I don't have an authority to change that. So that would be one of the rules or regulations that are enforced by the Illinois Tollway. Another one would be this judicial review. It just says judicial review of all final orders of the authority shall be conducted in the circuit court of the county in which the administrative decision was rendered. So what this means is that a litigant has a right to an appeal. This is an appeal from the respondent, which is the owner of the car, or from the Illinois Toll Authority. Either losing party has a right to an appeal. Because the hearings are held in DuPage County, the appeal would be to the Circuit Court of DuPage County, and that is something that I inform litigants of when they are found liable. So then that would complete that component of my assignment, the 2 regulations. You've seen me kind of click around. I'm almost running out of time here. Here at this website, the FOIA request link is easily obtainable. And when I come here, Freedom of Information Act, there's a sample request form that is provided. So here's a request form that could be used by someone. Request archives. These are things that have been requested by, so you can take a look at those. And this says before submitting the FOIA request, so this is information that if you were submitting the FOIA request to the Toll Authority, you'd want to review. Review documents are already available to the public, and so you want to make sure that what you're asking for is not already available. Because of the electronic era, lots of information for administrative agencies are already available to the public. So you don't want to request something that can be found through the website. Here they have a FOIA sample request as a guide, and it gives information for how to submit a FOIA request. And I could put this in my administrative agency assignment itself to explain how to request this. But we need the person's name, which would be me, the description of the tollway records sought. So if I wanted, for example, a listing of all the types of vehicles that have been cited as violating the tollway. Maybe I want to know if for whatever reason more Ford's drivers run through the tolls versus Toyota drivers. Maybe those are records that I can request. I can get a data that may tell me something about different types of drivers. And then I have to think about whether the request is for inspection or copy. So do I want to be able to come to the administrative agency and review the records, or do I want a copy? And the agency can ask me to pay a fee for copies. And again, you can maybe take a look at what has already been requested if you were using this, but you won't be because I'm doing mine on this. And so that is really information on how I would complete my presentation. I would continue to navigate around and identify that certainly iPass users can log in for their accounts. There's information here about the board, finance information, and if I go back, let's say, to the home page, there's information here about doing business with the tollway, explore different projects of the tollway. If you've missed a toll, there's information here about, paying fines or missed violations. So this is just a little information again about navigating around the website. The board information, customer service, information about diversity, and you can even get traffic information, traffic cameras, lane closures, constructions, and so forth. And you can learn, you've learned that the tollway has a Twitter account, so you can sign up for tweets about traffic and construction on the tollway. So that is an overview of the Illinois Toll Authority. I hope that you have found this interesting, and this should give you some idea how you can complete your agency presentation. Good luck.